I recently saw a new mobility aid that's going to be a game changer for so many people. It allows users to be seated or upright and elevated at eye level. It's agile, it swivels, it moves in any direction, and it does it all without motors and batteries. It uses gas springs. It was created by Garrett Brown, who invented the Steadicam for the movie industry. This device gives users the freedom and autonomy that they crave, and it can help improve balance, strength, and endurance. Today, it is my pleasure to talk to Petra Rose, Doctor of Physical Therapy and Director of Zine Testing Labs. She has over 18 years experience as a physical therapist and designed and ran all the Zine user tests. She worked with the engineering team at Zine to create a safe, stable, and useful product that can change the lives of users. Welcome, Petra.
Thank you, Vickie. It's great to be here. Hello, everyone.
I'm so glad that you're here today. So to start with, can you give me a brief overview of the Zine and how it came to be?
Sure. So I'm sitting on the Zine right now. Let me hop up and I'll give you a little bit of a tour and just a quick overview. So the Zine came to be, as Vickie, as you mentioned, our inventor, Garrett Brown, as his parents were declining. They were in their 90s at the time, very tall people, and they went from standing, walking, around 6 feet tall to suddenly they were now hunched over a walker or sitting down in a wheelchair. And Garrett looked and said, there's got to be something better out there than a walker or a wheelchair. And when he found nothing else, he decided he needed to invent it. So that is where the Zine came from. So his original intention was, as he was looking at his parents and their elderly friends, that it was kind of the declining elderly was his original, where his brainchild came from. That was his original targeted audience for the Zine. And we've since come to find, and since I joined the team 3.5 years ago, my first impression of it, I came in, I saw this thing, I said, this is a body weight support treadmill, but I can use it anywhere. So much better than a lot of the other gait training tools that may be out there that do give some lift and some support, but you're restricted then to a treadmill or a track and a ceiling. So the Zine is able to provide lifting assistance to help you move between sitting and your comfortable standing height. It provides the right amount of lift. So for some, we can lift anyone from 100 to 250 pounds. And we set the amount of lift that you're going to get based upon the weight that you tell us you are. We have 5 different lift settings in 30-pound increments. I mentioned we lift you to the correct standing height for you. We have a setting here on the side, and I haven't set it for myself yet. My colleague Jordan was using this Zine earlier. He is much taller than I am, but it's very quick, easy adjustment to just pop down these blocks that will limit how high the seat will go. Since there are 2 sides, there are 2 gas springs on the Zine. Each side is controlled independently in a standard Zine, or we do have a model that couples both the lift mechanism as well as the brake together. So it allows the individual who only has strength in one hand or the other, that they can still activate that lift mechanism and activate the brakes with their one stronger side.
That's awesome. I recently saw that I was on the website and I saw that there was a user who could use the device with just one hand after having a stroke. So he had limited use of his other hand. That's fantastic. So as a physical therapist, you were instrumental in the design of the specifications of the Zine. Can you tell us about the minimum requirements to use it?
Sure. So the main thing we're looking for is you need to have some strength and some mobility in your legs. We like to say we want to see that users are able to walk at least 10 feet with or without some type of device. There are many people who they may not have stood, they may not have walked in many, many years. It doesn't mean that they can't use the Zine. We just need to know that there is still some leg strength there. So for someone that has not used their legs at all, even to be able to stand and pivot from one surface to another, if you're at the point of requiring maximum assistance just to transfer from one surface to another, the Zine may not be the right thing for you. At the same time, if you haven't been doing those transfers because of weakness and some balance trouble, fear of falling, and so for that reason, you've kind of limited yourself to a chair, but you are still able to stand with assistance. And in standing, able to even do just a little bit of some marching, moving the legs. Even if you are supporting yourself on a walker or some other type of tool, the movement of your legs is how the Zine is propelled. So if you are able to do that, the Zine could be useful. What we see a lot of times is the original intention with the Zine was to help people maintain their independence. If it's been a while since you've been independently mobile, it may first be a therapy tool and maybe something that can help you build some strength back up and regain that independence. I know, Vickie, the group we're speaking to here, a lot of people have multiple sclerosis. And while that is a progressive disease, in most cases, it doesn't mean that you can't maintain where you're currently at and possibly even make some gains. So,
yeah, you mentioned it's much more than a mobility aid. It can help us improve. So, how can it help us like improve balance?
Sure. So let me give you a quick little, show you how this actually works and how it helps me to stand up. So there are brakes on the Zine. My handlebars here are where the brakes live. So usually when I'm first instructing someone how to use it, I'm going to make sure that they have their brakes locked prior to sitting down. So it's going to immobilize the Zine as much as possible. There is still some movement because the braking happens only on the rear wheels. So my front wheels are still free moving and all four wheels are on casters. So there is just still a little bit of movement. So with the brakes locked, though, it is going to minimize that movement. And now I also have a seat belt, and the seat belt magnetizes to the outside of my armrests. So it's going to be easy to find and won't get caught in the mechanism or have to go searching for it. So when I first sit down in the Zine, I fasten the seat belt, but I'm not going to tighten it. And I'm even going to loosen it up a little bit here so you can see when I will be tightening it. As far as how can this help with my strength and my balance and endurance as well, when I move up to the edge of the seat, I'm going to squeeze the levers on my armrest here and I lean forward. And the Zine, you can see it's starting to help lift me up. I'm able to stop at any point. So if I start coming up and it surprises me a bit, I can just let go of those levers and it's going to stop at the level that I've let go at, okay? I can reposition my feet, get myself ready again, and now squeeze. And again, I just lean forward a bit and now it's set to the right standing height for me. So that's as high as the seat's gonna go. Now that I'm in this position, you can see there's a little bit of slack here to my seatbelt. So this is where I'm gonna snug my seatbelt up.
Yeah.
And now between the seat belt and there's a bicycle type design to the seat, that's going to help to keep me centered and help to prevent falls. So when we're talking about balance, just getting into this position, into this full standing position, you see from the side, I've got my heels directly under my hips. Most of the weight is going through my legs with just a bit of support under my backside. And it's giving me that support where I need it. Versus
fantastic.
Walker, something like that. Now that would make me use my upper body to compensate for the lower body, right? Yeah. So here is where now I can work just on standing and standing without the use of my hands. I still can have my hands here and press down on my handlebars as needed, but slowly working on backing that weight off, working on correcting my posture, bringing my feet closer together. So now I'm working on standing on a narrower base of support. I'm getting feedback though, not only from my feet and my hands as I would with a walker, but now I'm also getting this feedback through my hips and my backside and through the groin area that I've got something underneath me that's helping to keep me in this tall, erect posture.
Yeah, that sense of security, I imagine, is really important. And a lot of times when I see people with walkers, we tend to be hinged forward and not upright, and walkers are hard to have that upright position in. This is fantastic.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, as soon as I say this to everyone, as soon as you put anything in front of anyone, you go to the grocery store, you grab a shopping cart, we all do this.
Yeah.
You lean forward. And now all those muscles going up your spine, there's a lot of muscles there, but they're long, skinny muscles. They're not meant to hold you up.
Yeah.
So then you have back pain, the walker or the shopping cart or whatever could very easily get away from you. By having the Zine underneath you and behind you, it's helping to promote that tall, erect posture. As long as we have the seat at the right height for you, it's going to give you the support you need and still allow you to rest your hands here, that you're not reaching forward for something.
That's fantastic. So talk to me a little bit about, some of the therapy that you can do in a Zine to help regain strength and endurance and improve our balance. What are some of the things we can do in the Zine?
Sure. So one thing with the Zine, the seat has a bit of a swivel to it. Let me come a little bit closer so you can see that. So just as I'm standing here, you can see that it wiggles back and forth a bit. The purpose of that swivel is to allow you to work on your walking. So I can be standing nice and tall, and that little bit of a swivel is allowing me to get a nice full step length that I'm able to get into hip extension. Okay, so that's one way that the Zine is going to help you to exercise, that you're just able to take those longer steps and really work on your walking pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You can also use the lift to allow you to do a sit to stand exercise.
That's awesome.
Even though it is helping me to come to that standing position, my thighs and my backside are still doing a lot of the work, just as they would if you were doing a sit to stand or a squat without the Zine. But now you're protected and you're not going to be at risk for falling. Okay. Right now I'm holding on to the lift levers in order to keep that lift mechanism open. But every Zine does come with a pair of shipping pins,
Mm-hmm.
which we can use to wrap around. We call them shipping and exercise pins now. So we could use that elastic to wrap right around here. So then I wouldn't even need to hold on. I could just
nice.
wrap my hands right on the handlebars and work on that up and down. And then it's really fully working on my quads and my glutes, those very large muscle groups in our bodies. They're very important for getting up and down from any type of sitting surface.
That's fantastic. So a lot of the viewers on my channel, they might have foot drop or hip drop. Talk to me a little bit. How can they use the Zine as well?
They certainly can. I recently learned, I know that foot drop is the term I've always heard, that the muscles on the front of the shin are not working as we would like them to. And so when you go to pick your foot up to take a step forward, that you're dragging your toes. I've come to learn that in the MS community, it's really not so much weakness here as it is weakness in the hip flexors, that it just ends up that weakness results in what appears to be foot drop.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's foot drop or hip drop, wherever the weakness might be, the Zine certainly can be helpful. It's not going to do anything to correct that particular weakness, but because you're getting that support from underneath, you're able to focus more on what the leg is doing. And so can you stand, just in a stationary position, just work on doing marches. And so you're working on strengthening those hip flexors. If you have braces that you wear to help keep the feet at that 90-degree angle to prevent the toe drag, then you can certainly still wear those braces with the Zine, and that will keep your foot in a better position. And now having the support under your hips will allow you to take a better step than maybe you're able to using a cane, a walker, trekking poles, things of that nature.
That's wonderful. One of the things that really caught my attention is users are able to have the different levels and swivel so easily and have hands free. One of the things that really I thought about is this is going to enable so many people to continue to work. I'm thinking about hairdressers, people in the service industry. If someone is working maybe in a medical situation where they have to use their hands to clean up or administer medicine or help people out. Talk to me a little bit about how the Zine can help people at work.
Sure. So the handlebars right now that you can see are extended out here. They're here, that's where your brakes live, and they're there to allow you, because what most people are used to is something that's in their hands. So until you really trust that this seat is going to hold on to you, the handlebars are there for you to use. But they can also be folded back out of the way. At the base of the handlebar, I've got a lever that I squeeze, and it will allow me to rotate these handlebars back. They go right down next to the backrest. So now I'm still at my full standing height. I don't have anything obstructing me in the front here. The wheels extend a little bit forward of my body, as you can see, and that's part of what gives me some stability. Okay. But now in this position, one of the professions you mentioned is as a hairdresser. If someone is sitting in front of me in the chair and I'm clipping their hair, I can get very close to them. Depending on what the base of that chair is that the person's sitting in, most of them, you're going to be able to get up nice and close. My wheelbase on the outside, it's 25.5 inches wide here. So it's between 22 and 23 inches between the wheels. So you do have a good amount of space to work with. So whatever the profession might be, stepping up to be able to cut someone's hair, you can still be in this full standing position and comfortably supported. A cashier at a grocery store,
Yep.
at a convenience store, anything like that, as long as there's enough space behind the counter, then you can still be on the Zine. You can be comfortably supported, bringing up whatever it is they might be working on. I know I had a gentleman who used his Zine, and he had a wood shop in his garage, and he was able to stand and still use all of his tools in his wood shop. That being down in a wheelchair, he wouldn't have had comfortable access. He would have been really reaching up high to try to use a bench and things like that.
And around the house too. I'm thinking in the kitchen,
Yes.
doing laundry, and even if you don't have to be mobile at your job, you want to be elevated so you can be at the height, at eye height or bar height, as I've heard Garrett say. And I kind of like the idea of being able to go out to the bar and being at bar height with your friends.
Yeah, so to that point, you can be standing. And so right now I'm still standing most of my way through my legs, but you can sit at any level on the Zine as well. I'm going to demonstrate the safe way to do it here. So I'll have my handlebars back forward so I can lock my brakes. And then what I'll do, there are footrests here. I can bring my foot up to the footrest and start sliding myself back. Now I've got both feet resting on my footrest here. I can move those handlebars back out of the way. The brakes do still remain engaged regardless of the position of the handlebars. And now I'm sitting back at my comfortable eye level. So any of those jobs that you do standing, if you need to just be able to take a bit of a break, you can sit all the way back. You don't even need to sit all the way back. You could just lean a little bit. Going out to dinner with your friends and the only tables available are the bar height tables. Well, now you've got your personal bar stool right here with you. So you're staying at your own eye level and you're not climbing on or off of a bar stool. I'm only 5'2". So even for me, able-bodied that I am, it's not easy to climb on and off of a bar stool often.
I'm going to share with you, I'm 4'10", so I can relate.
Yeah. So, and then when you're ready to get down from a bar stool, what you climbed up onto it, and I need to jump down, right?
Right.
So with Zine, you're not jumping down off of anything. This is just your normal standing height. So you bring the handlebars back forward just to have somewhere to rest your hands. And as I slide myself forward, I bring my feet back down and I'm back to my normal standing height. So I'm not climbing up or jumping down from something. It takes a bit of strength to be able to at least get a foot up or, to just start sliding yourself back to get to that bar stool height. But you do also have the option that maybe you're not going to be all the way up this tall, but maybe you'll be just a little bit lower. So this is just my very first level down. And even that is still, it's only 2 inches below my normal standing height, as opposed to sitting all the way down in a chair.
That is fantastic. I'm just so impressed with how versatile the Zine is. It's got the four casters. It can swivel completely around. It's so mobile. I'm going to be adding some video on top of this to show people, users actually using this. Anything else that you'd like to share about the Zine?
I think I know that you will be adding some more videos as well, but I'll just quickly demonstrate, as you mentioned.
Thanks.
All four wheels swivel. So if you see my blue spot here on the ground, I can keep my feet right on that spot and turn all the way around.
That's fantastic.
It's a pretty tight turning radius. And then with the stability that we talked about between the seat belt and the prow of the seat here, if I do lose my footing, it's going to help to catch me.
Wonderful.
I'm not down on the ground, and it doesn't matter if I go forward, if I go to either side, we've got a nice stable base underneath us. And even if I start having I'm feeling like I'm falling backwards, the Zene's behind me and it's catching me. So I'm not toppling over backwards.
You know, that sense of security is going to mean so much to so many people. You know, I think when we start to lose our strength or we start to lose our abilities to move safely, then we stop going out and we stop participating. And this is just going to add such a degree of freedom to people. I just think it's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. And the one other thing that I didn't demonstrate either was the ability to coast on the Zine. So I prefer to lower the seat down just a bit in order to do coasting. By lowering down a bit, now it allows me to shift my backside further back on the seat. So you can see my feet are out in front of me now. I'm giving much more weight to the seat of the Zine. And now from here is where I can coast or glide, so I can cover more ground with less effort.
Nice.
It is something that I do know I've seen with everybody's different, right? Doesn't matter. Everyone that has MS, they're all completely different. They all present completely differently, right? I think it was in your podcast I saw, Vickie, that MS is a snowflake disease.
It is the snowflake disease. Yep.
Yes. That the word just popped into my head. I'm like, I heard it from you. So depending on that hip drop, if you don't have the strength in the hip flexors, then this coasting height may not be the easiest one for you because you're already in this flexed hip position. So I'm wanting to have to lift a little bit more, and I'm already into an area that I know is weak. So it may not be the best thing for everyone, but it is an option. And then one final option too, we didn't talk about, you can always be pushed on the Zine.
Yeah.
So the idea is to keep you on your feet longer, keep up all of those things that are promoted with standing: bone health, vascular health, lung, gut, heart, all of those, mental health, everything from toes to head, right? We're promoting a lot of things just being in a standing position.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because a lot of times when we start to get weak, we stop doing things, and then we decondition, and then we get worse, and then we don't do more, and then we decondition, and then we don't do more. And you're absolutely right. Being upright, it affects everything: our core strength, our cardiovascular, our bone strength. You're right. From head to toe, being upright is so much better for us.
Yeah, very important. And yes, so many health benefits to be gained. So there's a lot of things that this is going to allow you to do. Maybe not everything that you want immediately, but doesn't mean that you can't work to get towards some, if not all of it too. And
when someone purchases a Zine, how do they set it up? Does Zine help them set up their Zine and how to use it?
100%. We, when an order is placed, we ask that you provide us with two measurements, as well as two other options that you get to look at. The two measurements that we ask for: one is your weight, and the second is your standover height. And standover height is the measurement from the ground to your groin in a standing position. And that allows us to set the amount of lift that the Zine is going to give you, and how high the seat will come. So we don't want to launch you, and we don't want to lift you off your feet. We want to give you the right amount of lift and to the right height, so that you're going to be comfortable using it. And when the Zine arrives, you take it out of the box and it's ready to go for you. Which, speaking of, the Zine folds. It's going to fold most compact with the seat all the way down. And I'll just give you a quick little demonstration here of just how much it folds. That, as I mentioned, it's 25.5 inches wide when it's open, When it's closed, it's about 11 inches wide.
That's fantastic.
And we've got a Velcro strap across the front here that's going to help to keep it together. So when you go to pick it up, it's not going to try to open up on you. Okay. I know another question, the next question I always get asked when I do that, how much does it weigh? About 42 pounds. So just over 40. And we've created an accessory that can help you to load it into the trunk of your car more easily, that it makes it feel like you're lifting about 20 pounds instead of 40.
Yeah, I saw that with the straps, and the straps help guide it into the trunk or the back of your SUV. Yeah, really nice.
Yes, yes. And it will fit in just about any trunk, SUV, sedan, depending on the depth of the vehicle. And all of the specifications are on our website as well. So
fantastic.
So that was with regard to ordering one. We ask for those specifications. When a zine is ordered, we then follow up with you. When your zine ships, you get an email that says your zine's on its way. Here's your tracking number, and here's a link to schedule a time if you would like to review your zine via Zoom call.
Oh, that's wonderful. So they can actually have a live Zoom call with someone from Zine to get familiar with it and get some instruction.
Yes, precisely. And then we also provide you in that same email the link that takes you directly to the training page on our website, which goes over all of the details that we would cover in a Zoom call. And also just reminds you that you have a product guide as well. So there's a written guide with pictures and written description that also references all of those videos that are on our website. So we're trying to give you as many different options as possible and right at your fingertips so that you're ready to go. When your zine arrives, you can take it out of the box and start working with it.
Oh, that's great. Thanks so much, Petra. I really appreciate it. This has been wonderful. The first time that I saw the zine, my jaw literally dropped open. I think this is going to be a game changer for so many people. To see more about the zine, please see the link in my description below. And Zine has also graciously offered to add a free accessory to any of my viewers that use this link when they're ordering. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, please give it a like, the thumbs up under the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, be well.